Okay. Okay, what is going on? Okay, that took me a second to get everything sorted out. Ignore the mess behind everywhere, but assalamu alaikum everybody. My name is Emily Bentley. I'm a revert to Islam. I've been Muslim now for, how old am I? I'm 26, almost 5 years. So I just wanted to come on today because I was invited by a brother to kind of share a story of being a revert. I'm trying to make this because he asked me to film it this way, which makes sense. Don't ask about the pillow thing that's going on there. I have no idea. But anyways, he asked me to come on and kind of film a little bit about my revert story and things like that. So I just wanted to share this with you. So I was actually born into a Christian family. My dad's side of the family are Christian, not only Christian, but there's actually a heavy presence of missionaries / pastors on my dad's side of the family. And my mom's side of the family is historically Jewish, and then she converted to Christianity when I was, I was not alive. When she was 14. So I grew up really heavily indoctrinated in the church. I went to, vacation Bible schools and youth camps and Wednesday night prayer studies and, all of these different things. And ultimately, what I think happened is I just could not find rest in that faith. And I kept asking myself big questions and felt like they couldn't be answered in that faith. And then even if they were answered, my heart felt just a genuine no peace about it. So what I mistakenly did and what I assumed then at that point was that it was just religion. It was an issue with religion and that no religion was right. And I became atheist / agnostic when I was 16. And the next couple of years, I really devoted myself to social justice work and activism because prior to leaving my faith, my whole emphasis on everything was just like, you're a Christian, and that was kind of my identity, and I struggled with it for a couple of years, and then I ultimately let it go, and then it was kind of like, well, what do I do now, right? If my entire life up until this point was believing, in an afterlife and the work that I'm doing on this earth fulfills this goal, and all of a sudden those goals are gone, all of a sudden I had to stop everything and kind of look in the mirror and decide what it was I was going to make in my life. So I became heavily involved in activism because I believe that ultimately, and this is still true to this day, a lot of the meaning that our lives has comes from the meaning that we give other people. So even if you look at statistics, people who tend to give a lot more or volunteer their time or things like that tend to have a higher measure or report higher satisfaction with their life. And so anyways, I started to do that a lot. And then when I was in college, I started my undergraduate when I was 18. I was working at a department store, and I met a Moroccan woman there, and she kind of became like a mom to me. And so she would bring me food, she would, talk to me about Islam, bring me house plants, and I thought she was really sweet. But again, I had no intention of becoming religious ever again. And actually, I remember the first time I ever went inside a mosque was during Ramadan, and it was because her family invited me, and I didn't even know that men and women were separated. So I accidentally walked into the what's it called, the brother side, and I was like, wait a minute, there's not a single Muslim woman here. And they were like, no, this is not where you're supposed to be. But anyways, because I've just always in general really loved learning, one of my dreams one day is to have a ton of books, a tiny little library. And some other time we'll talk about that. And if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll get to hear all sorts of random and interesting things. Oh, look, this is my son, so cute. Look how cute this is. This is my son's little homework from daycare. He's 3, mashallah. But anyway, sorry. So my YouTube channel is The Hijabi's Hustle. So if you're not following it, please come and check me out. But where was I at in the story? Oh, so I've always really loved learning, and Naza's faith and life was really interesting to me. Everything that I had understood about Islam prior to that, I just thought that I didn't really think that much about Islam. And then what I did think about it when I thought about it was that it was really oppressive and terrible for women. And I think actually the only contact really that I remember, there's Muslims I went to school with in high school, but I don't remember ever talking to them about their faith. And actually the only real interaction I had, quote unquote, with Muslims was reading 1,000 Splendid Suns, which kind of, again, it's a beautiful book, and Khaled Hosseini is one of my favorite writers. I think that's his name. Anyways, if that's not his name, forgive me. But incredible writer, and this is not to diss the book at all, because it's a powerful work and it's amazing, but it really kind of just, again, made me have this idea that Islam was violent and oppressive towards women. And then I met this Moroccan woman, and she was so happy and so joyful, and she seemed the opposite of oppressed. And actually she was trying, her and her husband were concerned about her wearing hijab in America because of the fact that, you know, people were starting to get more violent. It was such an obvious marker of faith. And so she so wanted to wear, her husband was like, you don't even have to wear hijab, but she so wanted to wear hijab that she would find different ways to disguise it, as like a cap or in a scarf around her neck or these things like that. So I was like, well, if it's so oppressive, why is she so dedicated to it? So this caused, oh, I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, that is actually just it. So anyways, moving swiftly on from that flaw I just pointed out. I wanted to learn about it because I was like, whoa, she doesn't seem really oppressed. She actually seems really happy and kind. And so, you know, how is this an option? So I just started to learn about Islam for the sake of learning about Islam. And then I started listening to the Quran because she would recommend it to me. And I had no idea what it was saying. To this day, I don't speak Arabic. So like there's some words that I know, like katab and, you know, the words to al-Fatiha, but for the most part, I don't understand it. But it brought me this great sense of peace. And my whole life, I've really been kind of a wanderer. Like my dad was in the military prior to us moving to China and becoming missionaries. So I've, you know, moved around a lot, and I actually view that as a really positive thing. I loved that part of life and getting to see new people and be in new places. And I kind of always have just had this like wanderer mentality and never really sat roots down in one place. And I kind of love that about myself. And then this thing that started to happen when I listened to the Quran was my heart was like, oh, it's home. We're home. This is home. And I was like, whoa, I don't want to be religious. And if I wanted to be religious, the religion that I would not want to be is Muslim. There's, you know, all these things that I didn't want to be. And also, I literally don't think that there could have been a worse, in my family's eyes, a worse faith choice than Islam. So I was at this point where I was really trying to have to decide, like, am I interested in this faith for the sake of learning about this faith? Or is this going to be a spiritual choice for me? And it was a terrifying thing. Like every single time I'd be like, no, it can't be. I'm just interested in learning about it. I'll just read one more book and it's just interesting and that's it. And then I'll pack it up and stash it away. And it'll just be something I learned about. But like I said, for the first time in my life, I felt like I was home. And so around that same time, I got offered a job to teach English in China. And when I went, or like a week before I was getting ready to go, I went and met with my recruiter. And my recruiter told me that actually I was going to be going to the Muslim majority province of Ningxia. Now, subhanAllah, when I lost my faith, it was in China. That's when I gave up faith as a whole and decided that faith was just not my shebang, I guess you could say. And subhanAllah, when I became Muslim again and when I took Shahada, it was actually in China again. So I always think that Allah had such like a beautiful way of bringing this story full circle.